Hey, what's going on, everybody? Today is a Theta video. It's going to be a good video. But before I do that, real quick, the 3-week chart, you could see right here on the price of Theta. I don't think I've ever shown this, by the way. Actually, the TD sequential called it perfectly. Not only the top, but it called the bottom as well. Not only that it called the top, but we also landed right on these green dots. And there was a comment yesterday that said, no, the green dots are there after the price comes. And no, that's not true. That's not true at all. I can prove that easily. Look at this. This 9 printed this red dot. But if you go all the way down, it also printed the green dot over there. So if, in fact, the price landed on the green dot, why would it print it from over here? It doesn't make sense. And here's more proof right here. Look at this 9. This 9 called the green dot here. This was your setup trend, right? But look, the price never came back to touch it. That's okay. A lot of times it doesn't. The green dots are there. Why? Because of a setup trend. This is your setup resistance. This is your setup trend line. I don't put those dots. I don't put those dots. The indicator puts them for me. And coincidentally, it landed right on the green dots, just like the video I put out yesterday talking about the price of Bitcoin. So there might have been a little confusion. The green dots are not there when the price gets there. They are there way before the price got there. And not to say that, you know, it's calling the bottom. In this case, it did call the bottom. But if you look over here, you could see right here it was holding support, but then look, it broke through, right? Let me actually go to a lower time frame. Let's go to the 2-day chart and see if we have some examples. Here's some examples here. So look at this. Here's a perfect, look at this. This is proof right here. Here's the 9 and here's the green dot. So the comment said, well, the price, the only way the green dots get there is if the price gets to the green dots. That's not the case. That's not true at all. So the green dots are there now. So look where the green dots are actually on the 2-day chart. They're right at the bull market support band. That's why I like this indicator, because not only it gives you the exhaustion perspective, but it also lets you kind of know where it could potentially find a bottom or find resistance, right? So in this case, we printed this 2-day 9 right here, which gave us this red dot. But then the price broke above the red dots. But look, we still have these green dots below. So basically the green dots are there in case, right? Let's say we come back down, the green dots are going to continue to print, right? Until we get another 9. So if the price does come down, we can get a big bounce off of it, potentially. So you could see here, right? Just to clarify, that we had a 9 here, which printed the red dots, but it also printed the green dots on the bottom. But look, the price never came down to the green dots. That's okay. It's not supposed to come down, and it's not supposed to, it's there in case it needs to be there. In other words, okay. So now we got that out of the way. Now let's look at the price of Theta. So, oh, look at this. Here's another example. We had a break above the bull market support band. We had a 9 sell. The 9 sell, once the 9 sell occurs, then the green dots get printed down here. Why? Because that is your setup trend line. So if this 9 was a reversal, which it wasn't, but if it was, it could reverse the price down to the green dots, right? So that never happened. What happened? We continued to pump. And then what happened? We had a 9 buy. So as soon as we got this 9 buy right here, look what happened. The green dots stopped printing. Why? Because we have red dots essentially, come from the 9 buy. So you could see the price is breaking above the red dots, which means what? Which means it's potentially activating the buy signal, right? So you have the buy, but the buy isn't there until you break above the dots. So look, we're breaking above the red dots. So, and we closed above the red dots. Not only that, you had beautiful consolidation on the bull market support band. Remember the base, sideways is important. A lot of times people don't like sideways, but sideways is the true test of your conviction, your will to stay and hodl, right? But it also is more important than that. It's to establish, obviously, a base, a consolidation, so that, think of it like it's coiling up. You've heard that term, I'm sure. So we broke above, we activated the 9. Doesn't mean it's 100%, right? But we are on a 5. So we can get 6, 7, 8, 9. So 2, 4, 6, 8. 8 more days of potential upside according to this 2-day 9, right? So depending on the time frame, like I can go to the 4-day chart, right? We almost made it to a 9. We had an 8. Let's see if I go to the 3-day chart. Nope, not there. So it really depends what time frame you're trading and what time frames are giving good signals, right? Like this one was pretty decent. Look at it. We didn't have a 9 on the bottom, but we came up to a 9 on top, which called the top. And it printed these red dots, and the price tried to get above, couldn't do it. Tried to get above, couldn't do it. Came down, held support on the bull market support band. So you could see here we had a 9 buy, but it wasn't a reversal 9 buy. It was a pullback. Same thing here. We came back down. We had another 9 buy. We pulled up a little bit, continued the trend down. Then we had another 9 buy. This 9 buy also was a trap, right? It came back up. It acted like it. So the 9s are not there to say, hey, we're going on a new bull run or the trend's reversing. The 9 is there to help you say, okay, we either have a short-term pullback, which in this case, we had a pullback to the upside, pullback to the upside, pullback to the upside, continuation down. Or the 9 is there to say, hey, we have a possibility that it's a reversal. So there's 2 different types of 9s, right? There's a topping 9. This is a top, right? Meaning it's a pullback. And if it was a reversal 9, what we would see is the price continuing to go down. Now, I don't think that's the case. I think we've had a reversal. So let me go back to the chart that I really like, which is the 3-week chart. And now that I got that out of the way, it only took 8 minutes. But now this is the most important part. So check this out. We had a 9 sell here, but it wasn't a reversal 9 sell. It was a pullback into the bull market support band. Then we continued up again, all the way to another 9, the power of 9, like Nikola Tesla, right? 369, the power of 9. It's a very interesting number. So, not that it has any similarities, just thought it was interesting. But we have a 9 sell, which this was a reversal 9 sell. So we broke down, right? And then, by the way, when this 9 sell occurred, what did it do? It printed this green dot down here. So the green dot has been there since, March 29th of 2021. So then they continue to print one after another, until the count either gets to another 9 until we get to another 9. So we got a 9 right here. And look, that's when the green dot stopped printing. But if you were just looking at this chart alone, by the way, the indicator isn't good by itself. It is kind of good, but using it with Elliott wave, using it with the phases of the market, using it with oscillators and Elliott wave, and what else? The bull market support band. Then it sort of narrows down your probabilities of what is going on. So I just thought it was a beautiful chart. I mean, look at this. That's like textbook right here. And I can't believe I didn't really notice it before. I don't really look at the 3-week chart. I don't know how significant the 3-week chart is, right? But nonetheless, if it called the top and it's potentially calling the bottom, then I'm going to very well look at it. And not only that, it called the top with Bitcoin as well. So the 3-week chart has my attention. And not only that, look at where Bitcoin is now. Next candle is going to be a 9 sell. So I talked about that yesterday. So we're on an 8. So next candle is going to be a 9, which occurs in about 16 days. A little over 2 weeks from now, we will get a 9 sell. That doesn't mean the price is instantly going to drop, right? So the 9, so take this 9 for example. So pretend we're right here. Here's the candle number 8. We have 15 days. Then we get to this 9, which means we have another 3 weeks. So 3 weeks plus 15 days, then the candle dropped to the downside, right? But then it rallied up. So a lot of people thought this was a crash right here. And it was a crash, but more importantly, it was a range. This whole thing is a range in here, right? So we're going up, then down, then up, then down, then up, then we crash, right? So if we are in a retracement, we could get something like that, right? Maybe not that big, but something like this, where we get it, we come up for a 9. And now granted, this is 3 weeks plus 16 days. That's a long time. So chilling out at the top, just for a frame of reference, not to say that it is going to be that long, but so let's say we're up here, right? Then we crash after a couple weeks. Actually about a month. Then we come back up. Then we come back down. Then we go down. Then we go into reaccumulation, and then we go to a new bull run. And that, my friends, rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways, blast off. During this time, where the price is ranging, just like how it ranged over here, right? During this time, that is when I see the altcoins catching up to Bitcoin. And if you look at the altcoins, they are magnificent, especially Theta, because of how orderly the price. I mean, look at XRP. It's very choppy, right? So, you have this chop, 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 right? Theta is more like an orderly, right? It's much easier to read. Now, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it definitely gives the trader or the hodler a little more mind at ease, right? So the big point of this video is to say I'm bullish. I'm very bullish on the price of Theta. Very bullish. Now, the reason why, obviously you probably know the reasons, but I'm going to say them anyway. Reason number 1, we had a bullish base. Reason number 2, we had one of the biggest breakouts. I mean, this thing went from what? 3 cents all the way up to $16. That's millionaire life-changing money right there if somebody were to get it with under $1 at least, right? So that's what, 45,000%? Perfect. Then what happened? Then the price went into a pullback or a bear market, right? Then what happened? Well, first we had a 9 sell, right? That 9 sell called the top perfectly. So then we started inching our way down, right? And now we landed on the green dots. which is perfect right here. So look at that. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 7. So 7 times 3 weeks times 7, right? So that's a good amount of time right there. So we had what was that? Yeah, about 150 days, 140 days around there. So then, not only that, we landed on a 9 buy. But not more than that, this whole entire time, we were in Wyckoff accumulation. And in the Wyckoff accumulation, you had another Wyckoff accumulation. So then, right, obviously I said the 9 buy. We had the 9 buy. Then, as soon as the 9 buy got printed, we instantly, the following candle, we had a massive bullish engulfing candle. So let me take all that off. And if you hear banging in the background, they're replacing our entire roof. So if you hear that, that's what that is. And if you hear a baby in the background, that's because there is one. So we broke above the bull market support band, which then what did it do? Right? We have these other green dots, which in fact are supporting the price pretty nicely. So, but not only that, we are also back testing the bull market support band. So we come up, right? You can see this candle was a top. This candle was the pullback. And this candle right here, you can see it whipped off like sort of a little doji or even not so much a bullish hammer candle, but nonetheless pretty bullish. We wicked off. Then the following candle, we're starting to get a big reaction. Not totally engulfing yet. It is engulfing this candle, but not this one. So that is very, very important. I mean, that's some of the main reasons why I'm bullish. Another big reason is if I take the trend line and I put it right on that red dot, and then I drag it all the way over to the most conservative area, which is about that wick right about there, you can see we perfectly had the 9. Then the following candle, we broke above this long-term downward resistance line, something we've been under for over 2 years, right? So we break out, we back test the bull market support band, and let me zoom in a little bit. And we also, I'm sure, back tested the downward resistance line. Let me, if I fidget with it a little higher up here, we broke out, we sort of back tested it a little bit. And then if I go to the 5-day chart, I mean, you can see right here, all these little wicks in here. We touched it right there, right? So coming down, broke out, and looks like we're trying to back test it. So that's another reason to be bullish. Another reason to be bullish is the fact that we have what appears to be a bullish resistance line. Now, what is a bullish? Now, have you ever heard of that before? A bullish resistance line? Because I don't think I have. No, I'm just kidding. No, what a bullish resistance line is a line that is continuing to be knocked at the door, right? So right here, you can see it didn't want to break the line. It broke above the line. Then it comes back down, right? And tags the line again. It comes right here, tags the line. Knocking on the door. Coming back up here, almost touched it, right? If I bring it down a little bit more to line up with this line here, you can see, obviously, we hit it here. We come up, we hit it again. We come up, we almost hit it again. And then we couldn't do it, right? We couldn't do it. And that actually looked like an inverse head and shoulders right there, which you would thought it could break out, but it couldn't do it, right? So what happened? We came all the way down. We found a bottom in here. Then we come back up and we hit the line again, and we still couldn't break out. And now the price is pulling back, and now it's starting to come back up. So what that is doing is it's creating what? Shoulders, 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 right? Or actually shoulder, head, shoulder, inverse head and shoulder. So that's a lot of reasons to be bullish. And I'm not even finished yet. The other reason to be very bullish is because of Bitcoin. Let's go to Bitcoin. So here's the price of Bitcoin, right? Right there. And you can see clearly, obviously, Bitcoin has completed or near its retracement levels. The big question we don't know is what happens at the retracement levels. That's the biggest unknown everybody has, because this is where everybody's bullish. If you're buying down here, you're nervous, right? And a lot of people are selling Bitcoin because of the retracement levels. A lot of people are FOMOing into Bitcoin because it got back to, against all odds, right? It got back to 50K. That's a big deal, right? Because back over here, nobody thought that was even possible. Most people thought we were going to continue, coming back up and then going to 8K, 9K, 10K. I mean, a big guy was Gareth Soloway. I like the guy. He's great. He's a good trader. He's got experience. He's made millions of dollars, but he got it wrong. He got it totally wrong. He said we were going to 10K. Never happened, right? That doesn't mean eventually he will be right, right? That doesn't mean, and I'm not just trying to bag on him, a lot of people were calling for that target. And he's the kind of guy that goes against the herd. But I was like, well, if you go against the herd, then why are you saying 10K, 9K, whatever? I mean, there's so many people who are thinking that way, right? Especially because of the sentiment. Now, that's the biggest misconception about markets, is the people forget how it felt, right? That's why a good thing to do is to keep an emotional log. How are you feeling at the time? Because you had Celsius, Three Arrows Capital, you had the FTX, right? You had the SEC suing Coinbase and all the others, right? So you had a lot of reasons to say this is not good, this is bad, this is bad. But a lot of times, that's what happens at bottoms. So first of all, you have great news. Elon Musk, right? Remember Elon and Michael Saylor? They were all, jumping in on it, and the meme coins, and I think Tesla buying Bitcoin, and then others were raving about it. So it was good news. So that's what happens. You have really, really, really the best. You have good news down here. You have really good news up here. Same thing on the bottom. You have bad news over here, and you have the worst news down here. But when you get the worst news, when you get the time in history where it's like nothing can get worse, that's usually the best time in your life to buy. Just take example COVID. Right here. I remember that day perfectly. I was coming home from work. I parked in my garage. I hit the garage door button, and I took my phone out, and I go, wow, that's insane. We were literally at the bottom down in these wicks. So I gotta go and check this out. I want to buy. So what I did, I went upstairs. I took a shower. I got my phone. I go, oh my God, I missed it, right? Because the price had already bottomed and it shot up a lot. So I FOMO'd, right? And I got in at still a very good price. I know it was about 3,800. Well, this is the Bitstamp exchange, but I think it got down to 3,700 on some exchanges. So I was able to get it about 41, 42, 43 area. for Bitcoin. Not a large order, right? I don't have tons of money to go down because I was dollar cost averaging on the way down, right? And then when we capitulated, I didn't know if it was going to keep going, but I took a shot, and that shot played out. It's the same thing with FTX down over here. And all the other bad news that occurred. I go, well, wait a minute. This sounds familiar. This seems familiar, right? So I started to accumulate, right? And sure enough, we've reversed the price. Now everything's flipped. Now I'm starting to get worried, and the people who were extremely bearish down here are starting to get bullish. So the tables are flipped, right? I don't know. I haven't heard what Gareth Soloway is saying now. I have no idea. I think he's still bearish on Bitcoin, right? I'm not sure. But there's not just him, right? There's a lot of people. And I'm not trying to knock the guy. I'm just saying, obviously, he's been right more than I've ever been right. I mean, the guy's a multimillionaire. So he's leaps and bounds above my pay grade. But at the same time, I don't do stocks, right? I think when you've come from stocks, and I did a little bit, but I'm mostly crypto. It's sort of it's the same psychology. It's just a different psychological game. I think that's what happens. I mean, take this for example. A lot of people were thinking, and here, right, that this was going to go down to 1K, or in other words, when we were down over here, we were going to back test 1 up to about 2,700, I think, right around in this area. Was it 27? Yeah, right around there. And we didn't. We actually came short. But what was forming in here is a descending triangle. So first of all, it looked awfully like a hyperwave, right? And I was following Tyler Jinks at the time, and his hyperwave analysis. The guy, he passed away. He actually passed away when Bitcoin hit 14K. So he never got to see what Bitcoin was truly capable of. RIP, right? So good, very good guy. But anyway, we had a descending triangle. So I said, okay, well, let's see what the measured move is. We come down here. The measured move was about the backtest area of this. So about 2,900. We never got there. Right? We came up short, right? So it was about 3K. We got to about 30, 31, 32. Not too bad, right? Not too bad. So, but if you zoom in, you can start to see what was playing out in here, right? Especially, let me pull this up here. Well, which really was 5 waves, right? So you can't see it. I'm on the daily, but if I zoomed in, you would see a 1, 2. This was 3, this was 4, and this was 5. And we had divergence. So you could see the 4th wave where we were really oversold. Then we come down for the 5th wave, but look, the price is going down, but the RSI is going up. So that was my signal, like, okay, we're almost to the line. We didn't quite get there yet. So I was starting to dollar cost average around 36, a little bit at 33, and then somewhere around this area back in here, right? Obviously couldn't get the exact bottom, but it's fine. You're not trying to. So you are trying to, but it's pretty hard to do that, you know. So all you could do is DCA. And I wasn't trading necessarily. I was just trying to accumulate because I knew the crypto sphere was still very early, not just with Bitcoin, but with definitely the altcoin, very early. So a lot of money to be made. So my whole strategy was not to trade because I wasn't comfortable trading crypto fully yet. I was dabbling a little bit, but more of it was accumulating. So we come down, I buy more. We come down, we buy more. We go sideways, I buy more. So basically every paycheck I got, I would throw some money in. And I continued to do that over and over and over and over and over. Right? So when we got up here, this was another lesson, right? I was very bullish, right? But when we got back to the retracement levels, I started getting worried. Like, now, this is do or die here. So what did I do? Did I sell? No, I didn't, because if I sold and we continued going up, it would be the biggest regret of my life. So I didn't know if we were going to continue up, right? But I hodled, and in hindsight, obviously, it would have took profit. But I'm glad I actually didn't, because it's a bigger regret selling and the price going away from you than it is actually, never buying at all, really. So for me, I was waiting, right? We were bouncing around here, saw the descending triangle, looked like, okay, this is probably a 1-2, best case scenario. So we had this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, little bull flag. Great, we broke out. Let's go to the moon. But then look, bam, massive liquidity dump. So I thought, okay, this has got to be it, right? This has got to be it. We came back up here, and when we got up here, I was very nervous that we were going to finally come down. Here's a bottom. We come up. I was nervous we were going to find a double bottom, right? So boom, boom, and then start to go. Right? So it taught me a lot of lessons in there. And the reason I'm saying all of this stuff, right, is because look at where we are now. And look where Theta is right now. Theta is in a position, not even, talking about the altcoins, but Theta is in a position where it can do a big thing that nobody expects. And then look at Bitcoin now. It's at 52K, right? I think, where did it get up to? It got all the way up to almost 53K. So that's good. And what it's doing is it's bringing confidence back to the market. Because in order, like I've been saying, in order for altcoins to do well, in order for them to catch back up to Bitcoin, there needs to be confidence back into the market. And the only coin that can prove, it's not about Bitcoin, right? It's about proving to the altcoins that the market is confident enough so that they're worthy of these higher prices. And we all look to Bitcoin to see if that is indeed the case. And right now, we are at the biggest level on the planet. Why? Because we're a dead smack right in the retracement levels. And it's like, this is the point where we can make it or break it. But either way, it's still very bullish for the alts. Why? Because let's say we make it, right? Let's say we make it and we continue going higher. I don't think it's just going to go like this. I think we're going to range in here, then continue higher. Just like ranging in here, 1, 2, and then a third one, then we go higher. During the ranging process, up, down, up, down, up, down, that's when Theta can catch up. Now, the reason why it hasn't fully broken out and caught up yet is because it's still trying to find its range. It's at the very top. We don't even know if it is a range yet, right? It's too preemptive, which is actually a very good problem to have. Because why? Because it's buying more time for the alts. So for example, if this was the top right here of the retracement, then we come down, right? Or if this was the top, then we come down, right? And then we're ranging. We're already in the process. But that's not the case. We broke out of this. So now the range has yet to be established. So let's say now this is the top of the range. Well, now we got to come back down, maybe to the bull market support band, then come back up, then come back down, right? Maybe make a descending triangle like this, right? Before coming down. And that could be the case, right? But if like I go back to saying, make it or break it, if we break it and we go down, that's fine. That's totally fine. Why? Because it's going to give us time in here for alts to catch up, especially, coins like Theta that haven't made it yet. And if we do end up going down, right, coming down, that's when Theta will have its pullback. So let me put up Theta here. Is it up here? Yeah. So just to give you a little visual representation. So again, for example, if Theta's topped already, right? If Bitcoin topped, then it's going to come down into a range, right? So we have Theta, we're coming back up, Bitcoin drops. Guess what Theta does? It drops too. But not at the same velocity as Bitcoin. Why? Because Theta is still in its sideways ranging motion. Bitcoin has gone up. You could see the difference. That's divergence. Look at Bitcoin's going up, Theta's going down. But look, now that Bitcoin's back up here, Theta broke out. So that's the important part to take from it. So we have to see how that goes. And the way I think it's going to go is going back to make it or break it. So let's say we do make it. Again, we're going to consolidate in here, then break out, right? Just like back over here, where the same type of deal where Bitcoin, right? You had 1, 2, 3, right? Even arguably 4, right? And then a breakout, right? So Bitcoin is like right in here. So going back to Bitcoin, if Bitcoin is going to make it and break out, then you're going to see something like 1, obviously 2, and then 3. So during the third, we're still trying to figure out, right, where the top of the range is. Maybe Bitcoin still has higher to go in its range. Don't really know until we start getting a dump. Once we get the dump, then we want to see where it stops. Once it stops, right? Let me take Theta off for a minute. Once it stops, you're going to want to see a reversal. So where's the reversal going to happen? Well, the very, very worst case scenario, all the way back down to 31K. That would be a big range. We'd come all the way down, then all the way back up. But it would actually be kind of a good thing, because the further we go down, the bigger we bounce up. And now here's the most important part. The bigger we bounce up, the bigger the chance the alts have at catching up, right? So, for example, what I've drawn there, and there's a lot of different ways it can happen. So we come down, right? So maybe Theta does an A, B, C, right? Then we bounce up. Then Theta really takes off. We pull back. It was just we come down again. It was just a pullback. We come up again. We break out again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We get back to the retracement levels exactly where Bitcoin is. Then what happens? Then, depending on what Bitcoin's going to do, right? If Bitcoin's going to make it, it's going to continue, right, in a range and break out, right? However the range is going to look. Then if Theta has 5 waves and it's back at its retracement levels, it's probably not going to go with Bitcoin. At that point, it's probably going to pull back, maybe go sideways a bit, right? As Bitcoin is ripping to the upside. So if Bitcoin makes it and breaks out to a new all-time high, then what are we looking at? Then what we want to see at that point, is figure out where Bitcoin's going to top out at. So we range in here, we range in here, we range in here, we break out. As we break out, that's when Theta is already up here. But it doesn't break out with Bitcoin, right? Because Theta and all the other markets, all the other cryptos don't necessarily break out with Bitcoin. Bitcoin goes first. Once Bitcoin breaks out and then it consolidates, right? As it's breaking out, Theta's going down or sideways, consolidating, right? So we have this breakout in Theta. We're pulling back in the retracement levels. Bitcoin's broken out. Now it's consolidating. As it consolidates, that's when Theta breaks out into a new all-time high. So that's the make it scenario. Now let's talk about the break it scenario. If Bitcoin's not going to make it and it's going to go down into reaccumulation like I'm thinking, and I'm so happy to be wrong, but if that's the case, then what are we going to see? We're going to see, put Theta here. We're going to see this come down. Maybe we go up further, then come down. I don't know. But eventually we're going to come down. And when we come down, we got to figure out where we're going to stop. So do we stop down here? Do we stop here? Do we stop here? Wherever we stop, we stop. Because we have yet to figure out where the range is going to be. It could be at the previous low we had. So when we come down, then we bounce up. As we bounce up, that's when Theta has its big breakout moment. So everyone says, when is Theta going to break out? When is Theta going to break out? Theta breaks out big time once Bitcoin finds its range, establishes its range. Okay, so once it establishes its range, let's say it's 38K or 40K or 43K, wherever, we come back up, we break out. Bitcoin then comes back down because what it's doing is it's ranging, right? So as we come back down, that's when Theta pulls back. As Bitcoin comes back up, that's when Theta finally gets back up to where Bitcoin is and where it should be. Then Bitcoin breaks down and goes into a reaccumulation. So rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways, right? So as it breaks down, that's when Theta starts to also, right? It's already made its retracement. It's already at, $4, $5, $6, $7, $8. We don't know. Then it starts to come down with Bitcoin, right? It starts to come down with Bitcoin. Bitcoin's going into reaccumulation. Theta is as well, right? Then Bitcoin breaks out into a new bull run. Theta sort of lags behind and until it proves that it is a bull run, then Theta catches up with it. So that's sort of my thinking. I could be dead totally wrong. I could be totally wrong. I don't know, right? This is not financial advice. So again, only time will tell where the price is going to bounce out. So in other words, again, I don't know, right? It's not financial advice. I don't know. I could be wrong. But my main thing here is this. I believe that Theta, I've been saying it since down here, all the way down here. That the first videos that came out. That I believe that Theta eventually will get back up here. So somehow, some way, it's going to happen. So only time's going to tell, right? So how do we get there? I just explained. But now let's do some analysis on Theta itself without the burden of Bitcoin, So as far as the short-term analysis goes, what we're seeing now, obviously, is a bounce. So the question is, does the bounce continue, or is it just a dead cat bounce? So again, two ways this can happen, right? This is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or if 5's already finished, then we have an A. We're coming up for B. Then we come down for C, and then we go. That could totally happen. Or rise, crash, retrace. We come down for reaccumulation a little bit, and then we go. I actually like this because the bull market support band, we tested it. We bounce off of it. We come down, we make a higher low, we test it again, and then we continue on. Cup and handle looking thing too, right? So then when you zoom out, what do you got? You have a perfected inverse head and shoulders pattern, right? So boom. So something like that. So we'll see how that plays out. But that's my main idea, and that's where I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking is going to happen, because if Theta, worst case scenario, if Theta does fall, then to me it's like, okay, we went down all this time, right? And then we went sideways, and then we continue down. That's usually not what happens. If we're going to continue down, it's going to go sideways a bit, then continue down, right? It's not going to go sideways for, let's see, what is this? Over 660 days, right? So what, like about almost 2 years of going sideways, and then only for it to continue down? That's not usually what happens. So this sideways action to me has been identified as Wyckoff accumulation, with the spring being here, the liquidity grab being here, and that first impulse off the top or off the bottom, right? Then we sort of consolidate here, then we break out, right? So the question is, where is Bitcoin during this time, right? And to me, Bitcoin's already up here. So all Theta is doing is catching back up to Bitcoin. So as Bitcoin's doing this sideways, that allows Theta the chance, and not only Theta, but many other coins, to catch up, right? So we'll see how it continues to progress, but I think that should do it. The main chart that I really like to see right now is the 3-week chart with the sequential on. So yeah, I mean, look at that. It's textbook. I mean, you had a perfect 9 sell, and you had a perfect 9 buy, almost perfect 9 buy. And then now you have an impulse and a back test of the bull market support band, right? You also have the RSI has plenty of room to go up. You have the MACD crossover. You have the Lucid SAR that I don't have up at the moment. You got a little bit of work to do with the EMA ribbon, but that's okay. Let me get rid of this. You can see those blue stars, right? We broke above the blue stars, and we are, holding above them. So that's good. That's a breakout sign. So let me see the monthly chart, and the monthly chart did as well. So the monthly chart actually looks better. You can see, right, when the price is below the stars, it's bearish. When we break above, that's bullish. So now that's, you guys know where I stand and where I've been standing. So now the question is, okay, if this is not the case, then what is happening here? Well, to me, it would be what I've been. I had a tweet out, basically a purple path, the green path, and I think the red path or something like that. And basically that said that this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. But this is most likely invalidated. The reason why is because if you look at wave 4, it broke above wave 2. So, it surpassed this wave. So that's not the case. I was thinking it could be a diagonal. If it stopped here, it would have been a diagonal, right? But it didn't. It continued to go. So, it doesn't look like that's the case. And a big reason I don't think that as well is because, look, you have 1, 2. All of this is 3. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's wave 3. 4, and this was wave 5. So we have a 5-wave move. So at the very least, right, you want to see an A, B, C, something like that, right, before another 5 down, which would then just be a big A, B, C, and then that would start the new bull run, right? So the big question is, what happens when we get up there? What happens when we get up here? Do we come down for an A, B, C? Or do we have a rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, right? So here's your base, and then you have another base on top of that, right? So you break out, you have another base, and then you continue to roll. You wouldn't need another base because of how big these bases are. Look how big that is, right? Like for Bitcoin, you had these 3 miniature bases. Where Theta, you have a big base, you break out, and that could all it needs for another breakout to a new all-time high, right? But you kind of want to always be conservative, because if you're expecting a new all-time high and you get this, it sort of it doesn't sit well, right? So my whole thing is retrace, reaccumulation, sideways, breakout. And this sideways is a base that consolidates above this base, right? So the first order of business is breaking out of this range, just like Chainlink did. Now, tell me this. If Chainlink can do it, why not Theta? Theta is just as good, if not better, than Chainlink, right? So, I mean, from a whatever point of view you have, fundamental, right? But from a technical perspective, it's identical. I mean, look at Theta Fuel. Look at Theta Fuel, right? And then look at Chainlink. And then also look at, I think this is total 3. You could see the price, right, breaking out, back testing, consolidating, and now it's continuing to rise, right? So look at Theta. What do you think is going to happen with Theta? Well, to me, it looks like a 1, 2, or an A, B, and now it's getting ready to break out, right? Maybe back test a little bit, then continue to get back up here. So here's 3 charts side by side. So look at Chainlink right here. You had a rise, you had a crash, you had accumulation, right? You had a breakout, which is, in other words, you have a rise, crash, retrace, right? So it fulfilled its retracement. So now look at Theta Fuel. I mean, doesn't it look like it should do eventually the same thing and get where Chainlink is? I mean, that's usually what happens. It's these rotations. So now look at the top screen, right? Here's the price of Theta right here. So to me, Theta looks like it should get back up here, right where Chainlink is. And even if Chainlink never occurred, I would still be thinking that, because I've been thinking that for the longest time, even well before Chainlink even broke out. But Chainlink and other coins are, I think Solana too, is just validation that, and Bitcoins, especially Bitcoin, that it got into its retracement levels is just, more confluence that we should see a Theta breakout, right? So if I zoom in a little bit, now that breakout could be like this, where we have an A, B, and then we come down for a C, back test this area, then break out like this, and then continue to break out like that, right? That could very well happen. Now, maybe not that high, maybe up here, right? So same thing here, and then obviously Theta fuel as well. So I don't want to sound like a broken record, but again, retrace, retrace, retrace. I've been waiting for it, calling for it, just waiting for the day for it to happen. So Theta fuel, I mean, you could see, like I said before, you had 1, 2, 3. You got 3 drives to the high, right? And then during that time, you had bearish divergence, right? Which is fine because it needed what? It needed to cool off the oscillators so that the price can pull back. Now it pulled back. Now it's going sideways, consolidating above the bull market support band. And again, like I've been saying, if Theta did break down, or Theta fuel, this is Theta fuel by the way, if Theta fuel and or Theta breaks down, you have plenty of wiggle room to the downside. So it'd be an A, we come up for B, and then a C. That could happen. If it happens, it's not to be alarmed or, oh, now it's over with. No, it's just 1, 2, right? 3, 4, 5, or 5's here. You could say this is A, B, C, and then go, or you could say this is A, B, C, then go. So it really depends. I'm not sure which one is it going to be, but to me it doesn't really matter. I mean, I would like it to go now, but it could be an A, B, C, and then we go sometime in March, April. So we might not even break out till March or April, right? It depends. And now the thing is we don't have too much time because we need Bitcoin to continue to stay bullish at its retracement levels, continuing to range at its retracement levels. So we'll see how long that occurs. But I would just, keep an eye on this trend line here. I mean, you got a little bit of a trend line. It is subjective to where you put it. I like to try to get as many wicks as possible. Now, one thing that could be bearish, and now could be a descending triangle, right? So the way you know that is if the price comes back down all the way to the bottom and then comes back up, then gets rejected again, chances are we're going down. This is a descending triangle. And that could totally happen, right? And then where would we go? Well, it looks like we'd probably go, there's not a lot of data, but somewhere in this area down in here. Let's see, the measured move. I guess I'd do it from here to here. Yep, right about in there. Kind of like what Bitcoin did, right? It had its, it came up, it had its descending triangle, it came down, right? And then what did it do? It came like this, it sort of rounded out, it shot back up pretty impulsively, right? And then what did it do? And then that was its retracement, right? So hopefully we get the retracement now. If it is going to be bearish, I always have to talk about the bearish idea. It would be foolish if I didn't. Now, my main idea is we get a retracement out of this range, but for whatever reason, for whatever black swan reason, right, we don't, this turns into it turns into a continuation to the downside, then I would say, okay, this is 1, 2, all this is 3, 4, and then we get 5. We swoop the lows, sort of like a U shape. We hang down here in a little bit. Then we shoot up massively into its retracement levels. Then we sort of wash around in here, come down. We go into our reaccumulation phase. And then we break out into new all-time high. And that's what it would look like for the bearish. So this is my main bearish idea. I don't think this is going to happen, but it still is an idea. So just to recap, This is bearish idea, right? You have a rise, you have a crash. The crash isn't done yet. Then we get the retracement. Then we go into reaccumulation. Then we break out. And that would suck because it would take some time. But it is what it is, right? I don't think it'll take, the way I've drew it, I don't think it's going to take that much time. I think it'll be a lot shorter than that. So probably something like this, and then something like that. So it wouldn't take as much time. But again, you just don't know. But that would be the bearish idea. The bullish idea is to say, hey, this is our base, our reaccumulation, or I'm sorry, our retrace, then our reaccumulation, then our breakout. And then the ultra bullish case is this is a 1, 2, and now we're in 3, which is my best. That would be the best case scenario. So you have 3 ideas there. 2 of them are bullish. 1 of them is bearish. Let the best man win, right? So we'll see what happens. Again, I think Bitcoin is in a good environment for the alts to start making the move. I mean, just go back to Chainlink. Chainlink did it. I see no reason why Theta and Theta Fuel cannot, and even XRP. So we'll see what happens. But that will do it for this video. By the way, another reason I don't think it was going to be that way, because if you look at Theta and you draw the line here, we broke out. We broke above it, right? So we had this sort of broadening wedge type of channel thing, right? We broke out, we back test, and now it's a break, hook, and go. So let's see if we continue to go. And you can see also Theta already had a descending triangle, so there's your triangle right there. We came up, we broke below the triangle, and now this is sort of the swoop that Bitcoin had, right? So this, you know, how it swoops down here, and then it drizzles out a little bit, comes flat, and then it continues to break out, right? Maybe not that slow, or maybe not that fast, right? It really depends. I don't know timing. Timing is very hard, but structure-wise, something like that. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Going down, just really quick, going down to the 1 hour chart, just to get some super short-term analysis. I've been thinking this is an A, B, C, and now we're getting ready to go. If that's not the case, then this is an A, B, C, right? Shorter than that, we can see A, B, we see a 3-way move right there. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, maybe 3's not done yet, and then we get another 1, 2, 3. Test it again. So test, then go. So, and then what do you know? What do you know? That's rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, go. So I'll leave you with the 6-month chart of Theta. Something very simple. 6 months. You have a bullish move, a bearish move, and it looks like it wants to go into another bullish move. I mean, that's just symmetry, right? I mean, it doesn't make sense for it to keep going down. I mean, it could, but the fact that you have this flat line here looks like it needs to go up. So down or up? My guess is up. What is your guess? So, all right, guys, that'll do it for this video. If you can, appreciate a like and a subscribe and a comment. I really appreciate it, and I'm grateful for you guys. I got to 1,000 subscribers. That's amazing. I couldn't believe it. Doesn't sound like much relative to others, but it's a lot to me. Trust me, it is a lot to me. That's a cool thing to have happened, and I appreciate that. So thank you guys, and I will catch you on the next video. Cheers.